Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of Becoming Legend. This is episode 4. Woo! First episode of 2021. We made it. We are glad to be here.
Finally. Holy heck.
Yes. So, in case you didn't notice, we took a little bit of a break over the holiday season. And here we are returning post holidays, ready to go in 2021. I had a nice little vacation. Didn't participate too much in the donning event. How was your experience? Did you participate in the donning, sir?
I did. I did. We're not going to get too far into the donning. I did participate. I got the ship. I got all of the cool stuff that happens with the donning. I delivered cookies to all of the vendors, even Ribbon. Yes. You know, I did the donning. I did the donning. Please don't let me do the donning again. Or at the very least, change the donning. Especially towards the end, I was just burnt. You know, like I making cookies, man. Like that's all that it is. So I had fun though. It was enjoyable, especially getting to go and deliver cookies to some of our new vendors, and it was very interesting. I wanted to deliver cookies to some other people, and I couldn't. You know, I got to deliver cookies to Barracks. I got to deliver cookies to Shao Han. I don't remember delivering a whole bunch of cookies.
Okay.
Everybody else. I don't really remember if I gave the crow a cookie. Did I? Yeah.
I think we gave the crow cookies.
He's a very interesting character.
I'm pretty sure the crow got some cookies.
I don't know. I honestly, I did what I do every donning. I made one cookie of each, and then I just gave Zavala and Shax a whole bunch of cookies, and that's how I got through. Like, yeah, I'm not that fancy. Yeah.
That's pretty much been the go-to season after season. Just give Shax all of your cookies.
Exactly.
Make them nice and fat.
Yeah, that's fine. Titans need to be fat anyways. That's where they get all their strength.
Yes, absolutely. The ultimate Titan punch powered by cookies.
Exactly. That's why Titans are overrated.
Ooh.
I'll say it. Warlock.
Warlock main. Yeah, Warlock main. Sorry. You know, you can punch everything in the world, but if you don't have the knowledge that the Warlocks do, if you haven't walked the void like we have, you know, you're not really going to understand the way of the universe. But we'll call you when we need some punching, though. When we need some punching, wait, I want you right there with me. Especially this... This stasis punching. Oh, wow. Wow, these stasis punches have gotten out of hand in the Crucible. Let me tell y'all. Oh, my Lord. I was watching some footage the other day where a Titan did the homing freezing punch on a target that wasn't even in his field of vision. He did a complete 180, went backwards, punched the dude, and he died. Like, what?
And I know that the community, I've seen a lot of Destiny drama going around the community, specifically with PvP. And it is just because Stasis is such a fun ability to play with PvE, but it hasn't been balanced yet for PvP. So it is, sometimes it's just not fun, you know. I'll admit it. Iron Banner is not as much fun right now because of all of the stuff. I'm being PG as I can. But that's not what you're here for, to hear my take about why Gambit's ruined, or that, you know, PvP is ruined, so all the fun stuff is out of the game. You're here to listen to the lore, right? I hope so.
Woo, I am.
Listening to the wrong podcast.
It is a brand new fiscal year here on Earth. It's a brand new year in Destiny. And with that brand newness, that new hope that's in the galaxy that's right now, I just wanted to highlight some of the new things that we gained when we discovered the Traveler. I want to talk about the heights of humanity, what we were able to achieve, what medical advancements we made, what discoveries we made when it comes to the human psyche and robots. We'll get into that later in this episode. So briefly, whenever the Traveler came to our solar system, we knew that it was starting to terraform some of the other planets, and we started to see that them blossom with life in places that you would never expect. Like I'm talking about Mars. I'm talking about uh, uh, Venus. I'm talking about like places in the outer rim. It's crazy. So at some point, we were able to encounter the traveler on Mars, and that's where humanity really gained the power of the traveler. Is that correct? I want to make sure I'm getting this right here.
Yeah, from what I remember, humanity was starting to explore the outer reaches of space, starting with Mars, which is our closest neighbor. And when they were on Mars, they discovered the traveler there. After discovering the traveler, I can't remember how it happened, but we ended up becoming the traveler's new chosen, and were gifted the power of light. A lot of fun things happened.
Yeah. We started doing things like living longer. It was not uncommon for humans to see lifespans lasting longer than a century. We started seeing real advancements in technology. We're able to harness energy that we were never able to use before. Solar and arc being two of the main ones that we tend to use to power our weaponry as well as our vehicles, our science. The world was doing great.
You're doing real well.
Absolutely. So this period of growth, of advancement, is known as the Golden Age. The Golden Age lasted, they don't exactly say, I'm going to say anywhere between 200 to 500 years, somewhere in that range. There was clearly a couple centuries. And with that Golden Age, with humans being able to live so long, with us being able to make such advancements in technology, we were able to form these huge corporations. And two of the largest corporations, two of the most advanced that came from the human race, are Braytech, started by a man named Clovis Bray, and the Ishtar Collective and the Ishtar Academy. One being on Mars with Braytech, and Ishtar being was it Venus, I believe.
Yeah, so the Ishtar Collective mostly took up residency on Venus because they were, without getting too far into our topics today, both of them were very interested in learning about the Vex at a certain point. The Ishtar Collective chose to move to Venus, which was, a planet that had Vex ruins on it. And so they went to Venus to try and understand the Vex ruins that were there, to understand better what was going on with the Vex. Meanwhile, Clovis Bray and Braytech, they actually had expanded to places not just on Mars, actually, as we found out this year with, our being able to go to Europa and there being a Braytech station there. At this point in time, we currently believe that Mars was actually one of the main locations for Clovis Bray and Clovis, like Braytech stuff. But we also believe that it was also, I'm going to phrase it like this, kind of like Jurassic Park. It was kind of touristy. It was an area for people in the Golden Age to go and not just the Braytech, but get an example of all of the work that Braytech was doing. Braytech at the time had been, they're one of the major organizations, corporations, technology companies that existed in the Golden Age. And so they would invite people to their main headquarters at Mars just to show off what they were doing and try to get people excited about what they were doing, which is why Mars was so big before the pyramid ships came.
Yeah. No, you put it exactly perfectly. So the city that Braytech and Clovis Bray created on Mars was known as Freehold, and it's exactly as you described it. It's a Jurassic Park, the best of everything that Braytech has to offer. Not only were they hosting that for viewers and scientists and sponsors to come in and see that, they were actively recruiting the best minds that humanity had to offer. They were given, it was basically, you could say, like the space Amazon of of the Golden Age. Literally off
Amazon, Jurassic Park, and like a Duke University all in the same thing. Like that's really what it was, Like Braytech was big enough that if you wanted to be taken seriously in your field, you would work for Braytech or you would work for the Ishtar Collective. Like this is where all the smart people in humanity went. So
Yes.
it's a combination of a whole bunch of different things, but it's a really cool place.
Yeah, absolutely. I really like that highlight there. Like if you want to be taken seriously, you work for Braytech. And really, it's kind of like, why would you work? I'm sure there were other companies and other developers out there, but it really feels like Braytech would also actively seek out those businesses, corporations, and just monopolize them. Either buy them out or sabotage them or find a way to take their technology and implement it into his own. He really just saw his company as what he wanted humanity to be. I'm sorry, let me rephrase that. How he wanted humanity to remember him for the rest of all time was to see that Braytech is humanity. That without Braytech, you wouldn't have anything to offer. He is the answer. He is the only way. Him and his business by extension. And even to another level, his family, who he had a major hand in manipulation of his family as well.
Quite literally, may we say.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes. So he would take members of his family was the head of the different major departments of Clovis Bray. We can start with his son, Clovis II. Clovis Bray was so obsessed with his image of perfection and the way he wanted to, how everything had to be Clovis Bray, not even a wife or another human or anything. So what he did with his son, Clovis II, is he bioengineered his DNA, where normally you have one host and a second, the DNA will mix and create a new being. He actually replaced the DNA from the mother with his own DNA. So he is essentially the mother and the father of Clovis II. And he was trying to see how far he can push the human genome to replicate immortality. Kind of, sort of. It's a lot. It's a mess of lore.
Yeah, it wasn't just immortality. He was also trying to fix what he saw as flaws in humanity. One of his biggest things that he hated about himself was that he got tired often. And so when he was creating his son, his clone, whatever you want to call it, like one of the genes that he tried to manipulate was the gene that controlled how much sleep he needed. And it ended up backfiring. It's the Clovis curse, the Bray curse. He ended up giving his son like severe insomnia. That was something that was passed on to Elsie Bray, was severe insomnia. It was something that wasn't cured, in fact, until Elsie Bray became an exo, because she wasn't always an exo. She was a human first, And so his tinkering is again, he is very much an egomaniac. Everything that he does is about him and is a reflection of him. And so he tinkered with his own family to try and make them better, but for him. He's a very complicated character because on one hand, he's great. He founded Braytech. Braytech delivered us so many astounding discoveries that we're going to talk about. His children were responsible for so many things that we take for granted now as guardians.
That's right.
Braytech discoveries.
That's right.
But at the same time, Clovis Bray is an awful human being. And he genetically manipulated his children and his grandchildren to try and fix the flaws that he thought he saw in the human race. Man.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. One of the things that we mentioned, how he has given us several things that we use on a day-to-day life as a guardian. So things that you guardians, any new light, first timers, brand new guardians, or even experienced ones who've been around for several years, but maybe never looked into the history of the items that you use. Did you know that Dr. Wilhelmina Bray was the one who invented engrams? The little little cubic things that you get that come in multicolors, and if they're blue or green, you kind of just toss them. But if they're purple or yellow, those are the ones you want. That's the technology that was invented by Braytech. Sorry?
I'm sorry, you mean green drops? I haven't seen greens in so long.
For new lights.
Right, yeah. No, sorry guys. Yeah, I haven't seen a green in a very long time.
The greens are rarer than the yellows at this point.
Yeah.
But yeah, so what engrams are is in the Destiny world is the fourth state of matter. It was a way to it's a shrink gun. It's a shrink gun. I'm not going to make it more complicated than it is. It's a shrink gun where you can take your guns, your ships, your tie-dye for your armor, whatever, and then you can put it in this little bitty state that can hold an exorbitant amount of data. I don't want to get too much into this because it's a Destiny 2 topic, but for example, Rasputin currently is being held inside of a engram. So you know how much data is involved with a war mind being one of the top advancements created in the Golden Age.
Do we know how much of Rasputin has been saved into that engram?
We don't know exactly because they haven't really tried to. We know that they're trying to reawaken him, but all they really said was that a lot of him was lost and that just the very core. So I'm really hoping that we at least have enough of Rasputin that remembers his encounter with the darkness.
Yeah, or at least remembers us. You know, like I'll be honest. Like just, hey, remember we helped you. Please don't kill us.
Please don't. Please don't. Remember that time when you shot the Traveler? Come on, man.
Don't.
don't shoot us. A real quick catch up of who. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say engrams are cool, but also Willa is responsible for people who are Destiny 1 fans. Willa is also responsible for Siva.
Yes.
Which we have a very complicated history with. Siva was supposed to be the saving grace of humanity. It was something developing it. They thought that this was going to be what defined Braytech for years to come was Siva. It was that much an advancement. The problem was there was no safety built into the Siva. Basically, Siva is a whole bunch of mini nanobots that work together. And it could do a whole bunch of different things. The way that we see it now as Guardians is in Outbreak Perfected, right? Is it Outbreak Perfected? Outbreak Prime. One of those is a Destiny 1 weapon. The other one's a Destiny 2 weapon. They're the same weapon.
Perfected being the Destiny 2.
They weaponize Siva, you know. But these are things that, like, again, Braytech is where you go if you're smart. Braytech is where all of the major discoveries are coming from. Braytech is where all the major technology is coming from that a lot of people are using. And it's hard to really encapsulate just how important it is because obviously engrams, like we've been talking about, they drop. You pick them up, you get a blue, you shred that thing in an instant. You never think about like all of the work that it took and who was responsible. So that's what's really interesting, just not just about Braytech as a whole, but the Bray family. That Clovis Bray's granddaughter Willa is responsible for that. It's weird. And all of the kids are like that. All of the kids, all the grandkids are very much like that involved. You know, if we can even not talk about Anna and Elsie because they are their own two like special things, you know. We have Alton, and Alton Bray is responsible for writing the lore book, Trials and Triumphs. I don't want to get too far into that lore book because it's not our topic today, but like the Bray family is extra cool. And it's just weird. Again, I can't stop going back to, I used to think that Braytech was so cool until this past season and we learned more about Clovis Bray. And now I don't know how to feel anymore.
Yeah.
You know?
Yes.
It's okay. I know.
That's a good thing to highlight because the images painted of Clovis Bray between Destiny 1 and Destiny 2 are almost opposites of each other. in Destiny 1, you really kind of look up to this guy. You know he's up to some shady stuff. You know he's got some secrets to hide, sure. But look at everything that he did for humanity. He really gave us the technology to grow as a species, maintain our lives, make space travel between planets like nothing at all. You know, on top of several other projects that he tried to do, exactly like you said with Siva didn't work out, but had it gone the way they originally planned, Siva would have been the next great element in the universe. It's self-replicating. I mean, you can do anything. Siva was so advanced to the point that I believe it was able to make small colonies within a matter of days or weeks. Like it was crazy. But yeah, you're right, and I think Siva with Destiny 1 may be the first time we see that some of the problems in the universe really came from Clovis Bray and Braytech as well.
Yeah, you know, so like when Siva got introduced, again, the point you were making is perfect. Like when we first started learning about Braytech in Destiny 1, Clovis Bray was a genius. He was responsible for all of humanity's greatest inventions. You know, him and his corporation, the Clovis Bray Corporation, are just, you know, elevated to godhood because of the myths surrounding Braytech and what they were able to do in the Golden Age. Because also remember, when we're experiencing all of this stuff is centuries after this happened. This is in the Golden Age. We have the collapse for us. We have the Dark Ages. And then we come back to where we're at now, which is centuries later. So we're only picking up on these things. And then Rise of Iron, we learned about Siva. And it was the first time that we really started to think differently. And it wasn't that they were bad. It was just, you know, the way that I took it is that it's the price, like it's the penalty of advancement, you know, like some things you're going to try aren't going to work. And again, the biggest problem with Siva was that they didn't have a kill switch built into it. There was no safety mechanism to stop Siva from working. The intentions were pure. You were able to create entire colonies, entire cities in a matter of days, solving so many of humanity's problems. But once they figured out that there was no kill switch, Siva started to become a problem and it became weaponized. Obviously, that's when we got it. But Braytech was still cool. They just, you know, like they flew a little too close to the sun, you know. Not everyone is going to have great inventions. Then we met Anna, the War Mind. And now where we're at is, I feel like it's a dichotomy, you know, like Anna is the good that is Clovis Bray and his progeny. And Clovis Bray, the giant talking exohead that talks to us, is the bad. You know, he is the one that is he was considered a god, and now we've seen his ego and what he's willing to do. And it's not because they messed up, it's because they purposefully ignore, you know, like that. It's a Silicon Valley mentality. You got to break things to move fast. And it very much just feels like that with Clovis Bray. And now I'm just like, hey, maybe he's a scummy person, you know, like can't deny what he did, but he's a scummy person.
Yes, indeed. Another way that Clovis Bray's previous actions affect us, I would say still affect us in our day-to-day lives, or it's a little bit past in the lore, is his recruitment of xTweeziix. xTweeziix was a real-life human being at one point. He was a man. He may or may not have had a son. It's kind of confusing. Anyways, so the way that Clovis Bray was able to recruit him, Cade was, you could say Cade was a bounty hunter. You could say he would take on select missions to either, you know, for a fee, mostly to pay off his debts. To my understanding was Cade got involved in a mission with Clovis where he damaged some Clovis property. I believe it was a ship, if I'm not mistaken. So to the point where he owes Clovis, like, this is probably hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars, maybe billions. It's the Clovis. It's the golden age. I mean, who knows how much this stuff actually costs? The point is, the man was indebted. The man was way over his head. There's no way he could possibly pay this off. So what Clovis did was offer him a job instead. The job was, hey man, you can work for my company and let me put your brain inside of this robot and all your debts will be paid. Sure. I mean, you know, I owe you so much money. There's nothing I can do. Yeah, let's put my brain in a robot. Oh wait, Clovis didn't exactly tell him that the process of moving your brain to the robot is extremely painful, and not only that, you will not be able to remain yourself forever. There will be a point in which your brain has to be reset. You will forget all of your memories. You will forget who you are. You will forget why you even started work for me in the first place. And you will essentially be my robot slave, Clovis Bray. Thanks. Yeah, so we get a lot of that story in the Taken King Collector's Edition, Cade's lore book, where he actually speaks about that recruitment and about some of the secrets that he witnessed with Braytech, about some of the key locations that he was visiting back then, but not telling humanity. I'm not going to drop it, but y'all know what I'm talking about. So I don't know. That's one of those things that was really shady in nature, and he really screwed over Cade. But because of that, we got Cade 6, one of the greatest guardians, the Vanguard Hunter, for a time. And that's why I say it still affects me to this day, because in my mind, Cade's alive forever, you know?
You know, like we saw if you go through the New Light stuff, you see the monument to Cade and all of those things in there. You know, you gotta feel bad, because Braytech is also responsible. Again, like, we see Braytech everywhere because Exos exist. Exos are Braytech, you know? And yeah, they got Cade. They're responsible for Cade 1. What happened between Cade 1 and Cade 6, we won't know. You know, but that was, again, it sucks. You know, like, you talk about Braytech, the genius of Braytech, but also the downfall of the man. You know, the creating Exos is a pinnacle discovery for Braytech, because humanity can then literally live forever. You know, like, that's what you're offering people, immortality. It involves a little bit of the darkness, sure. It's a little bit of Vex tech. You know, the very early goings of the Exo program were not very pretty. You know, you have a lot of Exos whose brains were just shattered because of being brought to life, having a failure, and then having to reboot, and like this endless looping cycle of startup, failure, crash, reboot, startup, failure, crash, reboot. You know, Cade got lucky. He only had to come back. He's only been reset, he was only reset 6 times before he finally passed away. Man. Meanwhile, Clovis has been brought back 44 times.
Yep.
In one iteration.
Yep.
You know, it's Braytech, man.
Yeah.
The genius of Exos. I play an Exo. I didn't realize at the time when I picked an Exo.
Wow. Me too. We're both Exo Warlocks. Wow. Hey, new discovery on the episode. Yo.
Yeah. We're both
Exo Warlocks for the win.
That's kind of messed up now that I really think about it. What was I doing?
They really get you in Destiny 1, because at first you're like, do I want to be a human? Do I want to be a purple human? Or do I want to be a robot? Obviously I want to be a robot. But now I'm learning what comes with being a robot, and I really hope that they never have to reset me. I don't I don't think I can do it.
I've died a lot. I'll be honest with it. I'm at xTweeziix like 3074. I don't know. No, man. It was a fun thing. I picked all three. I'm not gonna lie. I have a hunter, or I have an awoken hunter. I have a human titan, and I have an exo warlock. You know, I couldn't pick one, so why not pick them all?
Yeah, agreed. I have the same. Well, I mixed up my hunter and titan. I have a awoken titan and a human hunter. But yeah, you really want to experience all three races. And one of the things that I've loved as Destiny has grown is it gives you the backstory of those three races. Like Forsaken was a lot of backstory into the awoken. Right now we're going into the backstory of the exos, and it's really amazing. Amazingly dark, but it's amazing. Okay, and so my understanding was that not only was Clovis responsible for Freehold, the city on Mars, that he also had a establishment on Venus nearby the Ishtar Collective. Was it the Braytech Venus Arcology? I believe it was.
Yeah. I don't know if that was for anything other than spying on the Ishtar Collective. The Ishtar Collective, not a whole lot is known about the research that they've done. We know that they were responsible for like partially mapping the Vault of Glass. They are known a little bit for like understanding a little bit about the Black Garden. These are all things that we touched on in Destiny 1 and haven't really touched a whole lot since. But Venus is mostly known for the Ishtar Collective. Like they were responsible for researching the Vex, and since Venus was a Vex planet and there's a whole bunch of Vex ruins, like that's what they did there. They looked up the stuff, and it's really interesting. There's one particular character who is made mention of. I don't think we have ever interacted with this character yet. Dr. Maya Sundaresh. She is we don't know if she's actually the leader, but like she acts like the leader. And she's responsible for looking for the Ishtar Collectives looking into something that was called Subject 12. I think it was like a Vex operating platform that the Ishtar Collective was trying to understand. And when trying to understand it and really doing the research on it, one of the most interesting things, as we know about the Vex and as we came to know later, the Vex run simulations upon simulations of things so that they can try and understand their opponents, to try and find a weakness, to try and find a way to defeat them. That's the entire point of the Infinite Forest, was that we were running infinite Vex simulations against different opponents so that the Vex can learn how to defeat the Guardians. But they don't just run it on like us running the Infinite Forest. The Vex run simulations on everything, to the point that someone, I think his name is Dr. Chioma Essie. I don't quote my pronunciation. I'm not that great at pronunciation. I think Essie was romantically linked to Sundaresh, but Essie is responsible for discovering that the Vex simulation was running a simulation of them researching Subject 12. And it became a very big thing, and is one of the defining things about the Ishtar Collective that we know of today, because once Essie discovered that, they had to make a determination about what they were going to do, like how the Vex is correct, not just like running a simulation, but it's a very accurate simulation of what they're doing. So they needed to do something that was going to throw them off. And what they did was they introduced something that the Vex couldn't simulate, a war mind. So they brought in a war mind and were able to rescue in some way like 200 and some, like 220 some odd researchers that were in parallel universes, you know, like again, parallel simulations. They rescued 200 some odd people who they then sent on to continue to do Vex research. And that's why the Ishtar Collective has so much knowledge about the Vex, because not only were they researching it, but then they discovered that they were in simulation and then saved the simulation, had their copies saves. Yeah, it's weird. It's like a weird time loop thing, really, when you think about it. Like, you know, you're in this universe and then you discover a parallel universe that is actually a multiverse of all universes at the same time doing the same things. You save a whole bunch of them and then they all start working for you. So it's really weird. But yeah, Ishtar is the other, like, there's three main companies that come out of the Golden Age. Ishtar is mostly known for their knowledge of the Vex. Like, Braytech is known for the technology. You have the Black Armory, which is known for their weaponry, but the Black Armory doesn't play a major role until the later end of the Golden Age, like almost towards the collapse is really when they started to become a bigger thing. And then you have the Ishtar Collective, and the Ishtar Collective is known for their knowledge and their knowledge on the Vex, who was our primary enemy until, like, the Vex was our primary enemy that we were focused on engaging with and understanding until the Fallen came in. And so that's why these guys are super important. That's why Venus was an important planet before it got destroyed. Make sense?
It does make sense.
It was like a weird time loop thing when I was researching it. And I was like, okay, cool. Because then it gets even weirder with the whole, one of the Vex simulation copies of Maya gets corrupted by the Vex. And when she gets corrupted by the Vex, she then finds her way into Braytech. She starts working actually for Clovis Bray for a number of years, and then is able to go in and, like, while Clovis Bray has I want to say it was like a major accident, you know, and the surgery robots are working on him. Maya, the corrupted Maya rather, was able to infiltrate the robots that were doing the surgery and wake him up and really mess up the surgery. And if it wasn't for Elsie Bray, who by that time had already been turned into an exo, like, if it wasn't for her coming in and, like, destroying all the machines, Clovis Bray would have died. And that's actually what leads to Clovis Bray becoming the AI that we know of him as, and the thing, and, you know, also being Banshee 44. If you read the lore, and if you didn't read the lore, I'm sorry that I just spoiled that for you. Whoops. But yeah, the Ishtar Collective is very interesting because it also shares just a really intricate tie with Braytech and with Clovis Bray and the family specifically. And it's I don't know. I didn't know how to feel about it at first, and now I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool. You know, like, these were Golden Age companies that we knew about, but they felt like they were far apart. And now our understanding is that they are more intimately familiar with each other than they led on at the beginning of the game. You know?
Yes. And this, okay, so yes. I sound like Zavala. Okay. So this may end up being a darker turn than expected for the episode, but just something I'm really starting to notice with our discussion is it seems like in the height of humanity in the Golden Age, when everything was being gifted to us by technology and the light, that perhaps the greatest minds of our species were actually investigating the darkness. Mm-hmm. Because these two separate sources that you say are one is, they're not even on similar planets. They're not even doing the same type of research. One is Vex, and one is mostly increasing humanity's abilities. Right.
Human tech, whatever, humanity.
Exactly. But yet, both of them are brought in by the Vex, which is linked with the darkness. The Ishtar Collective studying the Vex is discovering, like you said, that there are multiple simulations upon simulations, that they are simulating us, simulating them, simulating us. How do you know who's real? How do you know what's real? How do you know if you're in a simulation or if you are yourself, you know, the true existence, the true reality? So that's one thing over there. Then you have Clovis Bray over here, who we know was involved with the Vex and with the darkness in order to create and stabilize exos. So it really just seems like it's kind of maybe mirroring our own world now, that while humanity and science may be at the peak of its existence right now, the people in power are actually doing things behind closed doors. I think that's what mirrors in the Destiny world. I'm not trying to say things about our own world. We know it's crazy right now. But in Destiny, it's just saying that humanity itself will always be doing exactly what needs to be done to push their agenda, and what needs to be done usually is evil, needs to be hidden. It's very interesting.
Very much so. I'm curious to see how this continues to evolve as we continue to learn more. Obviously, we have an idea of how some things are going to be going over the next season or two. We expect, for example, that Vault of Glass is going to be dropping in season 14, which is not the next season, but the season after. So we have an idea, and we're going to learn more about Ishtar. We're going to learn more about the darkness as we continue to experience it. But one thing that, as I just continue to read more, like the scary thing is just like the darkness is this ever consuming, thing, that preys upon people's weaknesses and leads them towards the answers in which they want. And it reminds me a lot of that whole, there was a lore book that talked about it was the gardener and
the Reaper.
Something else. Yes.
Okay, I was hoping you would bring that up. All right, go ahead.
And it's just, I'm curious to see how the balance of light versus darkness plays out. Because also, as a guardian who is wielding soul darkness right now, because that's where all the triumphs are, if we're being honest. Yeah. The Vanguard's official position is against the darkness. The Vanguard's official position, as stated by Zavala, is you should not be using the darkness. And so anyone that is truly tied to the Vanguard, we're talking about Saint 14, like these guys don't really like Guardians having an affiliation with the darkness. You have the Drifter, who is someone who toes the line between light and dark. And so he is more just encouraging. Obviously, we have Eris, who, through no fault of her own, is curious about the darkness after her experiences with them. Obviously, there's Elsie. Mm-hmm. But it's weird how we're starting to have this divide between the people who believe in the light and the people that believe in the darkness. And that's what his true power is the ability to divide friends and pull people in, and I'm just excited to see what kind of conflict we're going to have moving forward as Guardians, because it is so much more than good versus evil. And as the stories have even shown us, the good of Braytech is it balanced by the evil of Clovis Bray the man? And I think it's just going to be an interesting kind of like metaphor allegory that we're going to be looking at over the course of the year, is just light versus dark, and, which one prevails and which one should prevail. It's going to be weird. It's going to be a weird season, y'all.
The dark.
Look, I play darkness. It's where all the triumphs are. I'm not kidding when I say that's why I'm playing it. Mm-hmm. I've already done all the stuff for the light. Like, I've been playing this game for 3 years. The darkness is new. Let me play with it. Don't get mad at me, Zavala. Don't judge me.
Zavala's definitely using the darkness behind closed doors. He just doesn't want to say anything. He's probably been using the darkness for quite some time. That's why he's acting all weird now, but yeah.
Yeah. We can talk about him on a different day.
Yeah, we definitely can. As we get close to wrapping up the episode, I really think that we're going in a good direction here, talking about light versus dark, good versus evil, existence versus non-existence. And I think this also follows along with the conversation we're having now about Clovis Bray, Ishtar Collective, and humanity. So for the next episode, I really think we should continue this current conversation. We should pick up things like, what is Clovis Bray really doing on Europa? How did the darkness kind of recruit him towards wanting to attain more with the darkness? What is the darkness promising characters that we work with today? For example, the Drifter, like you brought up. What's in it for him to use the darkness? I think that's a good way That's a very good topic for the next episode.
I agree. And I look forward to it. You know, if people wanted to talk about it and talk about the episodes, or talk about Destiny lore with us outside of the context of the podcast, Craig, where would they find you?
Outside of the context of the podcast, I can absolutely be found at twitch.tv/Birduup, BIRDUUP. I typically play Destiny on Tuesdays. Every Tuesday on Reset, you'll find me towards the afternoon. You know, the birds are kind of hard to find at a specific time. You really just got to set your notifications and pay attention. But I'm always down to talk Destiny lore. If you happen to find me and I'm not playing Destiny, please pop in and talk about Destiny. I will do it. No questions asked. Bring it up. Let's go.
Nice.
How about you, sir? Where do you like to be found for your Destiny conversations?
You can find me on Twitter at Taylor Zeller. There's going to be a lot of weird stuff on Twitter. It's also just because I have a lot of interest, and it's not just always Destiny. But I will always talk about Destiny. I stream on twitch.tv/xTweeziix. That's Tweezy with 2 I's. It's a weird spelling. Please don't ask. The X's were cool once, when I was 12.
Hey, things always come back, so they'll be cool in about 5-7 years. They'll be cool again.
It's just because I couldn't get the name that I wanted.
Oh, yeah.
I stream. I used to stream Tuesdays, Thursdays, Saturdays. I am currently changing my schedule. I believe I'm going to be streaming Fridays and Saturdays most of the evening. Best way to find out, give me a follow, ring the notification bell, and it'll tell you when I'm coming on. Eventually, I'll put out a schedule, but I have to figure out my own personal life schedule right now. So once that's figured out, I'll have a better Twitch schedule for you guys. But you can find me there. I'm typically almost always playing Destiny, and we can talk about all the nerd stuff that is related to Destiny there too. So yeah, I'm excited, man.
Yeah, me too. Okay.
For this next episode.
Yeah, let's do it. All right. Bye, everybody.
Until next time.